Hello, my name is Patrick Gerard. I'm ICAM's Director of Advocacy and I'm thrilled to have you with us at conference. Today I'll discuss how dog population management, DPM, can contribute to urban prosperity. When we talk about managing dog populations, we rightly focus on animal welfare and public health, and that makes sense. The health and well-being of both people and animals should always come first. But when we're making the case for DPM, there's another important perspective that often gets overlooked: the contribution DPM can make to the city as an economic entity and a brand. So what I'd like to do is take a city leader's perspective and consider the case that embracing DPM creates safer, more attractive urban environments that benefit animals, people and the city as a whole. I'll also look at opportunities for DPM advocates to influence city leaders. Let's start from an animal welfare perspective. When there's too many unmanaged dogs in a city, they often don't get enough good food, shelter or medical care. This leads to malnutrition, disease and a high number of deaths, especially amongst puppies. And of course, unvaccinated dogs can pose a risk of catching and spreading rabies, meaning that when a problem does emerge, it can escalate rapidly. When an unmanaged dog population is associated with a health risk like rabies, people's tolerance can diminish, putting dogs at an additional risk of cruelty and neglect. Sadly, this can become a normal part of a dog's life in the city. But no mayor wants their city to be synonymous with animal cruelty or suffering. And when animal welfare is in the spotlight, cruel responses like mass culling not only fail, but worsen the conflict and damage the city's public image. But there is a better way. By embracing DPM, mayors can stabilise and reduce populations over time through dog sterilisation and citizen education, while vaccination programmes improve the overall health of dogs and reduce the risk of rabies to dogs and people. This means that dogs suffer less, stay healthier and live in safe environments, making life in the city better for everyone, not least the mayor. From the citizen's perspective, the nuisance behaviour that can come with free-roaming dogs can seed frustration and sometimes intolerance. For example, a large number of dogs can cause constant barking, whilst dogs rummaging through bins can disrupt neighbourhoods. Seemingly small issues like these can generate a huge volume of complaints from residents to city leaders. But more seriously, some dogs can act aggressively, especially when under stress. This can lead to more dog bites, which are a serious public health risk because of diseases like rabies. And from a safety perspective, free-roaming dogs are often involved in traffic accidents that can injure or kill not only dogs, but drivers and pedestrians. Naturally, politicians want quick and easy solutions, but any city leader looking for a quick fix will fail, because complex, multifaceted problems require comprehensive, multifaceted solutions. The strength of DPM is that it tackles the root cause of unmanaged dog populations, not just the symptoms. For instance, community education programmes teach dog owners how to behave responsibly. This encourages people to change their behaviour in a positive, sustainable way. Investment in veterinarian skills builds capacity to deliver sterilisation and vaccination programmes over the long term. Sterilisation doesn't just help control the number of dogs over time, it also improves their behaviour, making it easier for people and dogs to get along. Vaccinations reduce the threat of rabies to both dogs and people. This in turn makes people see dogs as less of a threat and improves how people treat dogs. However, if citizens mistakenly see lesser options as a quick fix, politicians won't commit to a sustainable long-term approach like DPM. And this is why community engagement is so important. Through open two-way communications with politicians and the public, we can make it clear that underfunded, overpopulated shelters and cruel culls not only risk the city's reputation, but are shallow, reactionary responses to the symptoms, not the causes, of unmanaged dog populations. They're like mopping up water from a leaked pipe without fixing the pipe itself, whereas DPM repairs the pipe so that the water stops leaking in the first place. Now let's look at DPM from the perspective of the city as a whole. Today, over half the global population live in urban areas, which means that the wealth of a nation often depends on the economic health of its cities. And in this global economy where cities compete for investments that can go anywhere, infrastructure, affordability and skills are the watchwords. When it comes to attracting and keeping a skilled workforce, how attractive a city seems is crucial. Investors and skilled people need a place where they want to live, work and visit. So what makes a city attractive and successful? Well, Patrick Geddes, a pioneering town planner, saw the city as a living organism with interconnected parts. If one part isn't doing well, it can affect many other parts of the city. For example, if a city has a lot of free-roaming dogs, its public image might suffer. Cities with unmanaged dog populations might be seen as less attractive places to live, work and visit. This perception might deter tourists, residents and investors, ultimately harming the city's economy. On the other hand, city leaders who commit to effective DPM for the long haul can gain unexpected benefits. With fewer unmanaged dogs and reduced nuisance behaviour, neighbourhoods become safer and more pleasant. This boosts a city's public image, making it more appealing to visitors, skilled people and potential investors. Despite the clear benefits, there's still a lot of untapped potential for collaboration between DPM professionals and those involved in urban development, including city leaders. And that's the opportunity. By engaging city leaders and showcasing in a compelling way how DPM offers lasting positive change for dogs, people and the city as a whole, we can secure support and resources that will move us one step closer to the kinder, better cities we all want to see. So, how can you influence policymakers, politicians and city leaders in your area? I'm going to give you 6 quick tips on how you might get started. Firstly, carry out a power structure analysis. You can probably tell me right now what needs to change in your city, but ask yourself this: why hasn't it happened already? To answer that question, map out the forces for and against what you want to happen. Work out exactly what the mechanisms are for the change you want. Is it a change of policy? Is it new legislation? Is it enhanced funding? Is it enforcement of existing regulations? Is it a combination of all 4 of those? To map out where power lies, a good place to start is to simply follow the public debate. Find out what's going on in your city hall and national parliament. Are there debates on animal welfare, public safety or high street revival that you can piggyback on? Identify those opportunities. And remember that politicians' power is often in City Hall or in Parliament, whereas your power is often outside those rooms. It's in the community. Meet where you have power if you can. Invite local politicians on a community walkabout in your neighbourhood or to visit a local DPM project if you have access. Doing that will change the dynamics of your advocacy work and give you more confidence. My second tip is to remember that we can achieve more together than we can alone. You don't need to do this by yourself. Connect and cooperate with others who care about humane DPM in your city. That could be other DPM professionals, but it could also be passionate, committed animal welfare volunteers working in your city right now on similar issues. Build this into your stakeholder analysis, identify who those potential allies are and make connections. As an extension of that point, my third tip is to identify organic leaders. Now, the development of volunteers into a strong, influential force doesn't happen spontaneously. When it comes particularly to political advocacy, if you're spending resources training and organising volunteers who are supportive but struggle to inspire others to act, you won't build up the kind of critical mass you need to take on potentially powerful opponents. But identifying organic leaders can help. Organic leaders are those that people trust for their opinion and advice and feel confident following their lead. It's not about a title or position, they may have neither. It's about trust, gravitas and charisma. When you do identify organic leaders, and that could be in the local church, in the trade union movement, or in a local community group, when you do identify organic leaders in your community, they might not be easy to win over to your cause because they'll have other things going on in their life. So there may be an additional effort up front to win them over and educate them about dog population management. But if you do win them over critically, they bring other people with them and they give others the confidence to act. So they're an incredible asset to any campaign. My fourth piece of advice is to lower the barrier and flatten the path. And what I mean by that is make it easy and affordable for your volunteers to act. That can be with some sort of reward or payoff after each step. So that could just be regular updates on progress, or it could be a social element built into your campaigning activity. If you're running a campaign at a city level, it may be that you have a group that meets up monthly and builds in that social, human level connection into the advocacy work that you're doing, and making sure that volunteers feel that human connection and get that reward. My fifth tip is to find the conflict. Now, by conflict, I mean identify those points of difference in the public debate. Lots of campaigns are wary about conflict, about difference, but conflict is inherent to campaigns. Without a conflict of interest, a campaign wouldn't be needed. Now, a conflict formed of just ideas is of interest only really to academics. Think about conflict in terms of events and potential outcomes. What does it mean for animals, for the community, for families? The alternative to humane DPM, whether that's inaction or culling, causes community friction. It can contribute to underperformance in the city. It causes harm to dogs and by extension people. When I say find the conflict, what I mean is don't underplay that story. Raise the stakes. And my final point is don't argue, do. Too often campaigns become absorbed in collecting and circulating information to people who already agree with the cause. News is not about just concepts, it's about things that happen. Ask yourself every day, what is this campaign doing? What's the verb? Are we starting something, publishing something, blocking something, rescuing, occupying, marching, lobbying, painting? What are you doing? And that's really powerful to think in those terms when you are looking to build a movement and win other people over to your cause. So we've touched on 6 high-level advocacy strategies that underpin powerful campaigns. But before I finish, I wanted to also share some quick-fire tactics for influencing politicians. Number 1, sign a petition asking a politician to act in the interest of animals. Number 2, connect via social media to engage with politicians directly. 3, write, email or phone to express your views or concerns around animal welfare and ask for a response. 4, attend an advice surgery to discuss DPM face-to-face and develop a relationship on a human level. 5, provide an issue-based briefing to inform and persuade politicians. 6, organise an event or site visit to celebrate success or highlight areas of concern locally. 7, suggest a question in DPM for the elected member to ask in the chamber to bring attention to the issue. 8, attend a cross-party group to contribute to discussions in animal welfare, public health or the local economy. Likewise, 9, give evidence to a city hall or parliamentary committee to support your case. Again, this can be on closely aligned issues like public health or wider animal welfare matters. 10, share a story with the media to raise public awareness and put pressure on elected officials. And finally, 11, vote. With over 60 countries going to the polls this year, vote to have your voice heard in the elections, and remember to look at the manifestos and see what each party have committed to in terms of animal welfare. Thank you for your time and attention today. We've explored how cities and their leaders can benefit from dog population management. In summary, the DPM advantage means better outcomes for animals, people and the city as a whole, improving animal welfare and improving public health, making cities more attractive places to live, work and visit, fostering economic growth and fostering community well-being. But city leaders and policymakers don't always realise the many advantages of DPM, and unfortunately that can make them susceptible to cruel alternatives with fleeting results. To combat this, we need to show city leaders the clear, lasting positive benefits of DPM and persuade them to invest in long-term sustainable solutions. This means being proactive in our advocacy and using every opportunity to highlight the positive impact of DPM on urban prosperity. So let's go out there and champion the DPM advantage. Let's work together to make our cities kinder, safer and more prosperous for everyone. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions and our discussion on how we can promote DPM in our cities.